El shotgun. Va a lanzar Prase, llega la presión, termina descargando, intercepción y nos vamos del otro lado a toda velocidad. Aquí vienen los Commanders de Washington en la 30, en la 20, en la 10, está adentro. Touchdown, Washington, intercepción de Dante Fowler Jr.
Welcome to DC.
And here it comes, swing and a miss. And a World Series Game 7 winning Curly W is in the books.
Dagger! It's 1974. The Washington Capitals are the 2018 Stanley Cup champions.
Don't like that. I like that.
You gotta like that, right?
Despite all this, despite the churn, my approval ratings keep going up.
We are ready to give our 500% support back to this franchise, back to this city, back to this team after Snyder leaves. And then this is the poo-poo you put on the field.
Thank you. Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business.
Did you call bank? I call game.
For the very first time, the Washington Mystics are WNBA champions.
I'm going to support fake teams that can't ruin my life.
Well, gentlemen, the extended video has made its first official appearance on the show. What'd you think?
Man, that gives me chills.
Really? That's it? Nothing. I mean,
Gives me chills.
I mean,
Like all of our championships throughout pretty much our non-toddler life, all of our championships in a 10-second span. That's awesome, though.
I thought it was awesome. I even added in FP. Really was he was adamant.
I was
about
very fired up.
Mystics. You wanted the Mystics in there. You got the Mystics in there. I know you've been watching a lot of WNBA.
Huge go Lynx and whatever the other team was.
We got the Spirit. I don't think they've actually won anything, and I actually couldn't find any clips to send to the audio engineer for the DC United, the back-to-back runs. LP, if you can find that, I'll take it. There was some like rando USA soccer clips, but like they weren't championship related. And I know we got a bunch of comments on Bradley Beal, the dagger call. So it was condensed now. So it's just Buck with the dagger call, which is awesome. And I really do need to load it in the board because it's the best call. That and, well, I mean, NBA's back. Do you want to talk about NBA? I doubt either of you want to talk NBA this early in the show. Yeah, I mean, FP's giving me
not Wizards NBA. Can we bypass Wizards NBA? Talk the rest of the NBA?
I mean, we could talk anything. I mean, look, okay, let's go NFL, and then we'll eventually get to.
There's kind of a giant headline that happened on Sunday.
Well, there's a lot. I mean, I actually, can we pause on Commanders talk for just a second? You both watched the Monday Night Football game. What is your initial read on players in garbage time, starters in particular? I'm shocked. Like I consumed like 5 to 10 minutes of Tampa Bay sports talk this morning just to kind of get a read on like how people are feeling after yesterday's very poor outing, to be very honest, from the Buccaneers, a team that beat us in week 1, beat the Commanders in week 1. I mean, you lose Mike Evans to what looks to be a pretty serious hamstring injury. You got Godwin out there still running during garbage time, and his leg, like, I mean, it looked bad.
His foot fell off. It was terrible.
Yeah, but what's he doing out there? Like, what are you doing this late in the game? I understand everyone's a professional. I understand injuries are part of the game. I get all that. But just park all of that to the side for a second. He shouldn't have been on the field. He should not have been on the field. And now
that game was over.
Yeah, but now they're in a position.
They scored a garbage time touchdown. Yeah, and they put him back on the field.
Like their season literally ended yesterday. I mean, are we looking at Tampa the same way we were looking at them a week ago? I mean, if you lose, you lose. Like good teams lose, mediocre teams win, bad teams, but all that stuff happens. It's part of it's what makes the NFL so great, right? Any given Sunday or Monday in this case. But FP, like if you're not a Buccaneers guy, right? But if this happened here, or if it was a team you cared about, I would imagine you'd be livid this morning.
I'm following the Bucs, right? Because they are a powerful kind of equal record NFC.
They will factor.
So like you're following them, but it's hard for me to gauge it, right? Because I understand when you are a competitive team and you have playoff aspirations, you want your guys out there, and miracles and crazy things happen all the time, and there's hooks and ladders and insane touchdowns and last second what happenings, but at the same time, I think more so because Evans did have his hamstring injury. You should have bubble wrapped your other playmaker.
You have to.
And just get your young guys the experience and then keep him on the sideline, right? But it's hard to gauge did they make the right call? Did they or not keeping Godwin in? Because
no, they couldn't have won the game. There was no scenario where they were going to win that game.
But like you need to keep
season is
keep
over.
that fight mentality.
Yeah, but those injuries can happen.
Yeah, it could have happened in the first quarter. It could have happened.
No, but those injuries can happen anytime.
It happened at a meaningless junction of the game. Like nothing was. They were not going to win that game last night. Even if they recovered two on, like they could not stop Derrick Henry. They could not stop Lamar. Like Lamar that was an MVP caliber performance out of both of them. To be very honest, like there was no scenario the Bucs were going to win that game that late in the fourth quarter. Like, no, it was not going to happen. They had a shot early on to go up, I think, by 2 touchdowns, right? Like, and if Evans reels in that could have been Evans' third grab of the third touchdown of the first half. Like, that's a different game script altogether. But you got 3 minutes left in the fourth. I mean, Godwin he's done. Like he's done, and the Bucs are done.
It sucks, but like Don Draper, Mad Men, that's what the money's for. Like, you get paid, you go out, you do your job. That's the end of this.
Honestly, I'm a little surprised that this is your take, FB. Yeah, I'm a little surprised because you're a football guy. Like,
listen, it's unfortunate, but first of all, no athlete wants to be on the sideline, right? They want to be out there. They want to contribute to the game, no matter how out of hand it is, right? Like, you never want to be put on the sideline. True competitors don't want that. So I understand why Godwin's out there, but it's also like that's what the money's for. Like, you get paid, you go on the field when your number's called. And it sucks, but it can suck at any point on any game in any chance. Like, that's just what happens.
I mean,
but at some point, if you're the Bucs, and you got to throw in the towel, right? Like, you're not going to come back.
Yeah, but that's loser mentality.
Sit your starters. No,
loser mentality.
It's not. It's live for another day.
Yeah,
it's loser when it's 10 points and under, no matter a minute left, 40 seconds left, it's loser mentality. You want to get the win.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if I'm buying that. I mean, look.
Did they recover an onside kick yesterday?
They got one of two.
No, right? They did.
They got one of two, and that was the drive that Godwin's got injured on.
I'm just, if it was a 2 touchdown difference, I could see him not being in there. But 10 points, like I said, how many times have we seen an Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary or Kirk's random sudden emergence as a fourth quarter savior?
Well,
like
this was an unplanned. This is an unplanned pivot, but I got a guest lined up, boys, that knows Aaron on a professional level. That is a friend of the show who's actually going to come on. He wants to do. His name is Andrew. He wants to do an NFC North spotlight. So it's something I think we need to prep for just a little bit. But he covered Aaron professionally as a beat reporter for years. He actually covered all the teams in Milwaukee for quite a while. So he knows quite a bit. I was picking his brain at a social gathering actually over the weekend, and he just kind of looked at me. He's like, "Joe, you have no idea how Aaron, like what he's actually like in a locker room after a win, after a loss." Obviously with Devontae. I mean, let's talk about the Jets here for a second. They continue to spiral. FP. I mean, they stink.
I love it. I love it.
I
love seeing Aaron Rodgers lose. I love it.
You're not the first person to say that, but I don't understand it. Like, where's that coming from? Right? Like we used to cheer against Brady because he was, the model of perfection, right? He's the prototypical, he's the super quarterback, he's the best to ever do it. And you're always going to catch some strays, I think, when you're at the top. Aaron's never really considered in that. Maybe he is.
It's the ego. It's the ego. He's got such a big ego. The moving from Green Bay to New York and then sucking, like it's the ego. It's the
Brett
firing of the coach.
Same thing, but nobody had. Everybody loved seeing Brett win.
No, but everyone knows Nathaniel Hackett is not a good coach, and he brought him to New York, right? Like it's all those things combined, and it's just
No, but I
Yeah.
think this is something
Even
Aaron
even
specific.
even the appearances on, like, you saw him on the Pat McAfee show last week, right, when they were interviewing Devontae and Aaron Rodgers shows up, like,
It
it's the
it
I'm better than everybody, larger than life Aaron Rodgers
you
mentality
know,
that he has.
it's a little bit. I think it's we have too much access to Aaron Rodgers, and I think that's what it is. Is when you hear about the ayahuasca retreats and the dark retreats and the muted times, and he's on Pat McAfee and he's on all the podcasts. Like you get a little bit too much access to him. But the crazy part is, if you were to take a 40,000-foot view of the greatest quarterbacks in the modern era, right? You got Tom Brady and Peyton at the top. Aaron Rodgers is like should be 3 to 5 in that category. Should be.
Okay.
But he doesn't have that leadership gene, right? That winning leadership
I
gene.
think it's the off the field
others have.
stuff I mean,
That's what I'm saying. You
it's
have
always
too much
working against
access to him. You didn't have access to Peyton during the season. You didn't have access to Tom during seasons. Like they were just they show up on Sunday, they would win games, they would disappear, right?
You
And
know,
everyone
the
was
only
like, oh, these guys are amazing. Aaron should be that good.
so when
Doesn't go his way, and then you just see him for the whole week, and he'll throw blames, and he'll get coaches fired, and he'll say we're not
Yes.
going to change the cadence, and he'll say
there was
he'll say
something
whatever he
about
has to say.
aging with grace too, right? Like I feel like Peyton, like he knew he was done,
Yeah.
right? Those last season and a half, let's say, in Denver, right? They were still competitive. He's doing Papa John's commercials, right? Like he was getting called out and kind of laughing at himself, right? For his weird cadence at the line, like in all
his very
the
first SNL skit, when everyone realized he actually had humor and
Yeah.
personality.
yeah, but like he was transitioning into like post football life, like very gracefully, in my opinion, right? Tom Brady, I mean, he's an anomaly, right? Like he went to Tampa and they were competitive until the last time he dropped back to pass, right? It was a little bit different because he still had zip on the ball, and that team could have continued to be a challenger, right? I think with the Jets in particular, when you start talking super teams, it doesn't matter what the sport is. I think people just are wired now to hate again, like just root against it. So when you see a team like the Jets go out and get all of Aaron's favorite pieces, right? The expectation has to be Lazard was with him in Green Bay. Like all these people.
Yeah, he
and
brought in
coaches,
Randall Cobb, and then
you
dropped him.
rebuilt the Packers in New York. I don't know. Like my gut is just, I don't want to cheer for this. I don't want to cheer for this. Right. And the irony is the team is actually not terrible. Like they could be more competitive. I think the irony in all this is that Aaron's play is largely why they are not competitive, right? He was brought in to get them over the hump because Zach was the problem or Sam Darnold was the problem. Well, like who's laughing now, right? Like you have Aaron Rodgers, FB, like you said, like a top 5 all-time quarterback, and the guy can't string passes together. He's out there complaining about everything. Like, whatever. Like the Jets, they're going nowhere.
The crazy thing is if Aaron Rodgers just let Salah stay as head coach, right? Don't give us the access that you had. Like, yeah, the start of the season sucked. Okay, you went and you got Devontae, but they faced really, really like the top defenses in the league this year to start the season, right? They just lost to the Steelers defense. Then there's the Broncos defense. Then there's the Vikings defense. And then they had the Niners defense to kick off the season. Like, that's 4 of the top 5 defenses right there to start your season. Like, everybody would have seen that if Aaron Rodgers was just normal. If you just took your losses, worked on everything in facility during the week, in practice, right? Then you're going to come out on the other side of that gauntlet to start your season with all your primetime games against the top defenses. And then suddenly Garrett Wilson's going to get more catches and Breece Hall's going to run for more. And Aaron Rodgers is going to look like the Aaron Rodgers everyone remembers because they're facing the mediocre part of their schedule, right? But because Aaron Rodgers is there and discussing it and the cadence issues and the firing and like he's bringing it upon himself for all of us to be like, F this guy. He sucks.
Yeah,
it's not even that. He's making the room tense, right? Like Garrett Wilson dropped 3 or 4 balls on Sunday. Garrett Wilson's a great receiver, right?
Yeah.
That is a tense room because Garrett Wilson's like, oh shit, I'm going to get called out if I run the wrong route or if I take 1 step left instead of a 1 step right. And so he's actually lowering the effect of the entire team. Like they're just
Yeah, I mean, I
And
just
that's
don't
not-
see him.
that's not
I don't see
good.
him. He's
That's
not the
not what
guy.
he heard.
He's not the guy that's going to walk around the sideline and dap people up and say good play, right? And I think that's part of it too. Like Manning,
The anti-Baker. Baker Mayfield
Yeah.
is the guy
Hype
that everybody
machine.
loves. Right.
100% hype machine, right? And we see that. We actually see that here in DC with Jaden, right? And I do want to. I mean, this is the longest we have ever gone in a show, not talking about the local team to start the show. So 15 minutes in, we're gonna have to pivot here in a second, but. Yeah, the Jets. All this to say, I'm interested to get truly an insider's opinion on it. So we'll figure out when we're going to record that show and get it posted. I hope you boys can make time for it too. But Andrew covered the team, so he was in these locker rooms. He understands kind of how all of this works. It'll be interesting to get his input because he was on a first name basis with Aaron for many years. So anyway, we'll do a deep dive on Aaron and also the NFC North. But with all that, let's pivot and talk about the Commanders. The Commanders come out and put the absolute smackdown to the Panthers. This is what we all wanted them to do. I think 2 weeks ago we said if you were going to win one, lose to the Ravens, but there's no scenario where you can lose to the Panthers. Like you can win both, and that would be amazing. But if you're going to win one, lose one, the one you have to win is actually against the Panthers because that's a team you're supposed to beat. And they did it. They hung 27 on them in the first half. They retired number 28 at halftime, which was awesome to see. And the whole week of festivities, I mean, Darryl Green was making his round on local sports media, on radio, on TV. It was great. Like for 1 week, everyone was a Darryl Green Redskins fan. It was alumni weekend, homecoming weekend, and there were, I mean, FP, I think you made a comment about this. In the best Snyder era turnout for alumni weekend, we got like 7 to 10 players. There was an army of them out there.
200 over the weekend.
It was awesome. It really was awesome, and they looked like they wanted to be there. I don't know if you can say it any differently. Like they wanted to be there.
From the alumni game to just all of them showing up to how the team treated all of them. Those varsity Letterman jackets that they all got to rock. Those were awesome. Those are amazing. Even better than the crap ones that Snyder kept for just
it's a little odd that there was no team name on them, right? It was just numbers.
Odd, or is that
or interesting?
Foreshadowing?
Could be interesting too. Could be interesting. But first play of the game, Jaden rips a 46-yard run, and I was expecting him to house it, to be honest. Right? He turned back in, whatever. He got rolled up, and that was basically it. There was a couple more draw plays, a handoff, and then he exited the game. All we know for certain right now, as we're recording this, is it's a rib injury. Right, to what extent is unknown. If he's playing Sunday against the Bears, unknown. I think there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things to discuss here. Jaden can't slide. He's gotten better at it, but he still can't slide. Not to say that you're going to slide when you're out in front and being chased down. I mean, that play in particular, I know I've been hard on him about his inability to slide. And RG3 before that, like he was getting wrapped up. Like that was a different scenario altogether. Marcus Mariota came in and played effectively, right? For a backup quarterback with little to no reps during the week, stepped in and ran the offense pretty well, in my opinion. That being said, I really hope we get Jaden on Sunday against the Bears, right? Mariota, when you have a week to plan for him, is not going to be the same as an on-the-fly substitution early, even though it was early in the game. He effectively played the entire game. So, yeah, I don't know if you boys are hearing something different than I am, but it sounds like he's truly going to be Jaden. That is a game time decision. How confident are you that they can beat the Bears without Jaden Daniels?
Without Jaden Daniels, that's a hard one to guess, right? Seeing the team rally around Mariota, even though it was against the Panthers defense, right? You're still up 34 points, 34-0 against an NFL team. They suck. They're terrible. They're injured. All of that. But the team from coaching down looks like they are actually being coached up. Looks like they are a cohesive unit.
I knew this was unit. But you love the coaches. You love the coaches.
Do you not love this coaching staff, or do you watch?
I mean, they're
Dan
fine.
Quinn pressers. Do you listen to what Joe Witt and Cliff and Dan and
you
Dan
can't
Quinn
wear. Okay, if Dan Quinn ever sees this, I want to explain something to him. I'm all for I can see you cursing at me, FP. He muted himself, which is great. I can see the backwards hat look being like, sideline rebel guy. But it has to be a fitted hat.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
It does when you don't have hair on your head. Speaking as somebody who doesn't have hair on his head, you can't do like the nylon bag. It has to be a trucker hat, which is not what he's wearing either. The look is incorrect. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, can I just mention that I was talking about actual coaching, and you wanted to bring up?
I need the appearance
hat
of.
thing.
He
is a good coach. Why?
If you want to look like a badass, you have to dress it appropriately. He needs
if you want to look like a badass, be a badass, and that's what he's doing. You think Dan Campbell cares what he looks like on the sideline with a giant play call sheet?
No, but he's the size of a fridge.
1994 cell phone. Nobody cares about how coaches
Dave
look.
Canales looks like he's spot.
Yeah, he looks
rocking
great.
his Rolex.
Yeah, and he lost. Nobody cares what the coach looks like. Just freaking win and coach a good team.
Well, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing.
So, again, with Mariota, if Mariota takes over on Sunday, I'm confident that
I still give him a shot.
Prepared. Yeah, I'm confident it'll be the most prepared that will be.
Okay, but nobody.
I'm gonna.
Do you think he should be out there? Should they move to rest Jaden in this game, considering it's an NFC East opponent and head-to-head is likely going to factor in, considering it's the NFC North?
I think I trust the coaching staff the same way they did it with B-Rob. I mean, DQ said it himself. I would have loved to have B-Rob out there against the Ravens, but we needed to rest him up, right? He didn't look 100% like himself, and he benched him, right? Not benched him, but like he made him not active. That's kind of what you want to see happen with Jaden, right? It's a long game for it. Nobody knows how the game's going to go. Okay, yeah, everybody wants that headline that they want to see 1 versus 2, but we don't care about everybody else. We care about this team, and I'm pretty sure that's exactly the way Dan Quinn is thinking about it. Is I only care about my team and my guy. If he's not ready, he'll be benched.
I don't know if I care so much about the 1v2. I'm not sure if that's why I want to see him out there. I think it's important that he beats teams that are
really good defenses.
Yeah, or that are comparable to like the Skins. Like I just think he needs to. I don't know. Like I think the reps are important. I really do. Now that being said, I if you told us 2 weeks ago Jaden was going to miss the game and you're going to get Mariota, I think I would have been more down on it than I am right now. And a lot of that FP, honestly, it has to do with the defense. The defense played much better. Like I'm looking at it and saying, okay, Deontay Johnson is a real NFL receiver. Like he can fly. He wasn't 100%.
Yeah.
1 catch for 17 yards. I think he was targeted a total of 3 or 4 times. He was only targeted 3 or 4 times because they got all over Andy Dalton.
Yep.
All over him. And you said this last week that as bad as the injury is to Allen at large, going to more of a fluid or committee model at D-line in particular could pay dividends. And I think we saw that in spurts on Sunday. I mean, do you disagree?
Johnny Newton and Fidarius Mathis definitely stepped up because Chuba Hubbard, I mean, since Andy Dalton came in, they were one of the better rushing teams.
Absolutely. Yes.
Right. So it's not that, like, I know it's hard to see it against the Panthers, right? But it's still an NFL team. Hubbard was getting his yards. That means the O-line was getting their blocks, and we shut it down. And you love a guy like Jonathan Allen. You want him there. You want him as that leader. But it was the best case scenario for this team that he was the one to go down. We were just talking about the Bucks and Godwin. You don't want that situation. What you want is something where somebody like Allen is the one that sits out, and then you see the rest of that D-line rise to the occasion, fill the void, and do a great job in his absence. That's exactly what we saw. And you have to give your props to Joe Witt and the D-line coach and everybody to make sure they were all ready. And you even have to go even higher to
where has Dante Fowler been? I mean, we heard that call in Spanish, which was awesome to open the show. But where has he been?
A little bit.
I know, but like your boy.
He's been heating.
Go ahead, LP.
He's been heating up the past couple of weeks. I mean,
he's on the field. He's
getting more reps.
Yeah. But Emmanuel Forbes is another guy that I think deserves a little bit of discussion here too. On the post-game show on the radio, they were talking about reviving the Forbes list, right, and adding Andy Dalton to the Forbes list. And I used to love that shtick, right, early on in his career. Every time he got an interception or lit somebody up, they would put him on the Forbes list. It was fine.
Every time.
All 6 times. But he looked much, much better this week. And this is one of those things where
why
coaching. God, you're so predictable. You're so predictable. Look, I expect the Commanders to be buyers here. I expect them to be looking at corners, at safeties, and frankly, down linemen. They have the draft capital to make moves. Why not make some moves? Like you're okay. Let me ask this question.
I want to do no safeties.
Just give me a yes or no here. Just a yes or no. Is the Super Bowl window open right now for the Commanders?
Yes,
absolutely.
Then you got to make moves. You got to make the moves, right?
Agreed.
Maybe coming into the season, you weren't 100% sold that it was going to be year 2 for Daniels, similar, but no, we're on the Russell Wilson Seahawks track from whenever he was a rookie, right? Like it is an immediate opening right now for the Commanders Super Bowl window. Add to that the NFC East is in complete disarray and not very competitive. And then you look at the NFC at large, primarily the NFC North. There's a couple teams you don't want to deal with, but you're tracking right now to host a game in DC, which likely could bring an Atlanta into your building. It could bring Minnesota. It could bring Chicago. Teams that are good, right? Some are more can be beat. Like you are tracking towards not just playoff berth, but home playoff win. You have to be buyers right now. And I hate to, put Peters and this staff kind of in the spotlight, but your window's open. Like
they've been looking.
Yeah,
they had people come out.
The question I posed to FP when we were watching the game is, we agree, right? Like you need a receiver, but you're also scoring tops in the leagues in points and yards and efficiencies. Why would you change anything on the offense?
No, who said we need to? Why does this team need a receiver? FP's guys has been great between Zacchaeus and Noah and Terry and Zach.
They're making it work. They're making it work, right? It's wide receiver 2 by committee.
Listen,
they're making it work.
The Ravens have one receiver and a couple of serviceable tight ends. One that's better than the other, right? And a good running. Like just look at the Ravens, a Super Bowl favorite. They have one. The 49ers, after the Brandon Ayuk injury, with Debo with pneumonia, they've got one receiver.
Hold up to a pedestal. Not the Niners this year.
I'm saying like which
you're right. The Chiefs
team has 2 stud receivers. Which team is that? It would have been Miami, but they don't have a quarterback.
It would have been Miami. Yep.
Okay, so everyone's kind of following the same model of
Cincinnati if they pull it together.
1.5 if you consider T Higgins, but like which other team? The Chiefs have 0 stud receivers, right? Like if you can keep Eckler upright and you can keep B-Rod trucking and you can keep McNichols in that spell third down back, that guy eats yards. He's awesome. You've got Benson. He caught his first touchdown, right? There's opportunity in around jumbo packages, a la the Patriots from 20 years ago, with Aaron on one side and Gronk on the other. Like you can do that now with Ertz on one side. Like you can get creative with
Joe. Sounds like off-season FP now.
I'm excited because like we have to acknowledge that their competitive Super Bowl window is 100% open
100%.
Right now.
Yes.
So absolutely. How do you stop the Lions? You need a down lineman, maybe a linebacker, definitely a corner. 100%. Like you've got to go get these pieces, because if the Lions and Vikings have to face each other in the playoffs and you draw the Packers at home or you get Atlanta in your building, you're going to win that game.
Yeah, well, like I want the team to sniff around a Myles Garrett, right? I want them to sniff around a Denzel Ward. I want them to sniff around one of the big immediate impact people that you can put a trade package together for and bring in. but it has to be somebody of that caliber. That's what we just said last week. It has to be Super
TJ
Bowl
Watt.
caliber.
How do we get TJ Watt in DC?
You're not going to get TJ Watt.
They once called about Pat Mahomes. Remember when your boy Rivera made calls to see if Mahomes was available?
Yeah,
Remember?
I mean, you could call about anybody, but you have to look at the teams that are selling, right? With Watson going down on the Browns, they're forced into selling.
Actually, can we talk about that for 30 seconds? One quick segue. Nobody is an actual Deshaun Watson fan.
No. But
you can't cheer when people get injured.
No, you can't.
Like, he's a terrible human being.
They were cheering, you deserve it.
He doesn't deserve it.
No.
I just needed to get that off my chest. Like, he can be a terrible person, but I don't even think he's a terrible person. I think he makes terrible decisions, and maybe he was a terrible person. And Jameis Winston was white knighting for him big time in the locker room, and that's fine. That, though. I did too. Like, that's his teammate. It's totally fine. Like, that guy's working with him on a day-to-day basis. I don't know Deshaun Watson at all, except his career has been completely derailed. People it's not his fault that the Browns were willing to pay him what the Browns were paying him. Like, that is the organization's problem, not Deshaun's. But you can't cheer for injury. I didn't cheer when Aaron Rodgers went down. I didn't cheer when Deshaun went down. I'm not going to cheer for anyone that goes down.
No,
you went down.
I mean, because they're all, at the end of the day, we're all still humans, right? You can't do that.
Yeah. I don't know, but I love the new Jameis Winston. I'll cheer for him. I mean, I hope he does have success. He's hilarious.
I mean, between we always make a joke about stealing the crab legs as a college student, right? But as a professional, this guy has demonstrated that he can win. He's a 4,500 yard passer with the Buccaneers, a team that largely was the same when Brady came to town and ended up taking it to the Super Bowl. So, Winston can win in this league. I think him and Mariota, came in at the same time. Were they 1-2?
I'm not sure.
I think I'm 90. I feel confident in that one. I think they came in together and they were 1-2. Winston 1 and Mariota 2. But regardless, coming back to the Commanders here, they have to do something. Like, they look good at linebacker. Wagner's name doesn't get called a lot, but you just know he's in the right spot.
He's doing the work.
Luvu looks great. And then the rotating cast on the offense, on the D line, they played great against the Panthers. I don't know if they played great against the Lions, and we'll see how they do against the Eagles and Cowboys and some of the other teams that are maybe at that same level right now as the Commanders, but they've got to go upgrade the secondary. That's just my opinion. Like,
yeah, but also, I mean, if you want to loop it back into your mention of Forbes, right? We brought guys in, right? You brought in Kendall Fuller's brother, Kyle. You brought in some people to kick the tires on him and take a look at him. We didn't do anything, and that could legitimately be, and I was telling LP this, it could be because maybe the coaching staff is like, hey, like, we've had a whole quarter of the season to work with Forbes. We see that the skill set is there. We think we can pull it out of him, right? We think we can pull it out of Igbenogwe or whatever. He's turned into a great corner for us. Nobody knew his name at the start of the season.
Okay.
He has turned into a great corner for us. Like, he very regularly
he's very
making
solid.
Big plays. Yeah. So if
his
you
name is not getting
have,
called, which is what you want as a quarterback.
you don't have a high school coach coaching Forbes, and suddenly Forbes gets a pick and looks a little bit better. A lot of DB work and secondary work, it's all mental, right? You got to get out of your own way. He has the speed. He knows how to turn his hips. Like, he's still a football player.
I mean, he needed that interception, right? And I'm glad he got it. Just like I'm glad Fowler got one, right, and was able to take it back. Like, anytime you can create turnovers, right? Like, your chances of winning the game, especially turnovers in the first quarter. I don't know why, but turnovers early in the game, they just seem to set a tone. Like, Carolina, to me, got away from what makes them competitive very quickly in that game. I think the combination of, Dante Fowler taking one to the house, and then Jaden coming out and ripping a 50-yard run on him and just driving the whole length of the field. I think they felt panicked, and then they just got away. They got away from Hubbard. Then they got away from their dinking and dunking, which is what has made them competitive in weeks past. The Panthers also scored 30 plus, I think, in back-to-back weeks leading up to this game, and they were held to 7. I mean, I was cheering hard for a shutout, boys. I don't know if you guys were cheering for it too, but I really wanted to see a shutout. It would have been the first time since 91. Didn't happen ultimately. They gave up the touchdown, but so be it. On to the Bears.
Hubbard was still picking up 4 to 5 yards a pop. the entire game, right? And they just moved away from him. So I don't know if that's defensive game planning or what, but
I mean, I think once the score is 27,
people can run on this team.
Yeah.
Can they?
I mean,
they were
are you
better.
gonna throw and not move the ball?
You
Right?
can't
Are you
really
gonna throw and not
can't
move the
really
ball? Or are you
run.
gonna run and
We don't have the best run defense, but you saw it against the Ravens, right? If we commit to stopping the run,
Mhm.
right, we made Derrick Henry
Work.
invisible in the first half of that game, and then we're like, oh crap, Zay Flowers is torching us. We adjusted, and then he was able to run on us. But if we commit to stopping the run, if that is your bread and butter, we can stop you, right? I'm not going to say we're the best in the league, but this defense can stop a running attack, right? And if you go to the Eagles, that's like games like that are where the defense looks worse. If you can air raid attack and run down our throats, and we have to choose which one to do, then we're screwed. But if you don't really have the weapons, and there's some teams coming up here, you don't really have those weapons, you can stop the run.
I mean, the Bears are interesting because they can both on paper and in the. I mean, they were off obviously this past week, but Caleb has looked much better throwing to both his tight end and his pass catching targets. And the play of DeAndre Swift should have every Commanders fan very scared. DeAndre Swift is a very talented running back. They didn't use him or utilize him heavily in the first couple games of the season. The Bears, in their last 2 games, DeAndre Swift has touched the ball 20 plus times with 100 plus yards in both, and multiple touchdowns in both as well. That's the guy that they're going to have to contain. You know, Keenan Allen and Roma Dunze, and who's the other? And DJ Moore. DJ Moore is
DJ Moore.
DJ Moore is he's the Daniel Jones of wide receivers when he plays this team. I mean, if you guys recall last year in FedEx,
176, I think he went for us.
He caught all,
and it was like over 100 in the first half.
Yes, he was targeted 16 times, caught 15 balls or something like that. 15 of 16 catches or completed pass attempts by Justin Fields last year were to one guy, DJ Moore. It was pathetic. So
is it crazy that if I'm coming up with the game plan for the Bears, I would focus on stopping the run and dare Caleb to pass? I don't still truly believe that Caleb is as accurate as he is. If you focus on stopping the run and just all the pressure in Caleb's face, and he thinks he has this escapability of Mahomes, and he's shown it a little bit. But I think if you just rattle him right then and there, Keenan Allen's old, always hurt. He's scary, but Iggy can take care of him, right? Roma Dunze hasn't really done anything. Forbes can be on him, right? Put whoever else you need to on DJ Moore. Have your safety help over there, but this Bears team just doesn't. They scare me, but they don't.
I mean,
scare me.
they have a tight end too.
They have the tight, yeah, but tight end doesn't scare me anymore.
To me, it's
you have Wagner and Luvu. So tight end doesn't scare me the way it did last season.
If DeAndre Swift has 4 catches,
the run game
yards,
going,
and 16 carries for $110 and 2 touchdowns, we lose this game. Like that means they've dominated the clock, and there's just not enough offensive touches for Mariota, assuming it's going to be Mariota, to get the ball. Like that defense is also really good. I think they lead the league in turnovers. They tackle well.
Yeah, but there was also Titans, Colts, Rams, Panthers.
Yeah, it was a bunch of bad teams. Right.
No,
the one edge I'll give to the Commanders is the coaching staff, right? Like we saw the Bears at Hard Knocks. Does anyone walk away from that coaching staff saying, these are really impressive football minds? I think.
I mean, I'm in the minority, but I've said it before. I think
we have that.
I think Matt Eberflus is actually a pretty good coach. I think he is. I don't know if he's the brilliant and super mastermind that everybody maybe early in his career made him out to be. Fine. Coaching edge to the Commanders for sure. Yes. Especially the way Cliff is calling games right now.
He's another Ron. Eberflus is another Ron.
Kind of just an eloquent Ron.
He's not quite.
I mean, I don't think he's a horrible coach, but I don't think he's a top tier coach.
No, and he's going to have his.
I just think that Dan Quinn has this team believing.
He grew out his beard.
Well, I think the fans in general are stiff for Cliff, right? And everyone's just happy that we have an offense that is creative. I mean, how many times did we see the pistol formation to start the game? Like
Yeah.
he went
The
to
little moonshot running back thing that they do.
yes.
D-
I will say
DQ
too,
has a team believing, right? Like
yes.
you could be deflated that your quarterback is out, right? But then you go back to the Panthers game, man. It almost like you didn't skip a beat with your backup quarterback in there, right? The first drive or second drive was kind of
It's
a little
almost
bit
like
rocky.
that one
then
time
after that,
FP
like
said
he was
Marcus
making
Mariota was a good
passes.
sign, and nobody believed me.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, even look.
I
If
mean,
you
I
look
think
at the
Jeff
schedule,
Driscoll could have done the same thing too.
No, I do not believe that at all.
No.
Yeah, Jeff Driscoll looked really good in preseason. I mean, obviously he can't run, but like the passing
What are
Jeff
you
Driscoll
talking
is
about?
better than Mariota.
Oh my god!
No, I'm sorry.
Thank you for your contribution.
Yeah, can we kick LP off this show?
Of course we can.
We're done with that one.
Let's pull up Driscoll's stat line for the preseason.
No, we're not going to do that.
We're not looking at anybody's crap about preseason.
I will ask you one more question though before we pivot off the Commanders here. Like looking at the Bears. Do you have them winning FP?
Yeah.
Regardless of quarterback situation.
Yeah.
LP, you got them winning regardless of who starts.
I got like I'm right now 60-40. So I think 60 we lose, 40 we win.
With Mariota.
That means you have
55,
that means
45. Yeah.
That means you have the Bears winning. Do you not know how percentages work?
Correct.
He's the guy. He's the guy that gives
chance of
you.
winning.
He's the guy that tells you someone's going to win. 16-20, like giving you the lower score first. It's just how he's wired. But looking
60% of the time it works 100 times. 100% of the time.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. That's right. But okay, looking further down the schedule, just one extra week, right? I believe we get Steelers after that. I watched the Steelers game, with a curious eye to see what Russell Wilson looked like. That floaty, jumpy thing that he does better than anyone else. If that's back in his bag, this team is going to be hard to beat because he is really good at doing that. Their receivers don't scare me. Their running backs don't scare me. That defense does scare me because they seem to be able to lock up just about anybody. I think if the Commanders can come out from a confidence perspective and beat the Bears, which is a very good defense, I mean, I think they can hang with the Steelers as well.
Is it crazy that as many good defenses are out there, the fear for me is never our offense versus someone else's defense.
Which is a new feeling.
We've proven that
But
this
that's
is
only if Jaden's
offense.
playing. We don't know if Jaden's playing, right? He could be out for 2 weeks.
Fair point. It's all dependent on Jaden Daniels. But Cliff specifically is doing things that we have not seen in the DC area in so long by catering his offense to our weapons. It's not force feeding people. It's not force feeding concepts. It's not making things happen that don't work in alignment with our personnel. And suddenly, when you have that, when you have somebody like Cliff being like, these are the tools I have, let me develop something that will work in our favor. This offense is top of the league, top 3 in the league, whatever. I'm not worried about the offense-defensive matchup in any game. I'm not worried about offense-defense with the Bears. It's the flip of it that I'm worried about. And Russell and Caleb,
That was a very long way of saying that you're worried about the defense.
Listen, man, just because I make fun of
You're worried
you
about the
doesn't mean you
defense.
make fun of me on anything I say.
Look,
LP
I'm
can never
trying to
take
get-
it.
trying to
when
get
I
to the
insult
point.
him.
if they're going to win one, lose one, if we're going to do the same thing, right? If you're going to win one, lose one against these teams, I think you need to beat the Bears, and I don't really care about the Steelers. That's my personal read.
I mean,
think you need,
NFC, AFC.
I think you need the NFC win more. I think the league at large will care more if if you beat the Steelers, just because the Steelers are more a recognizable brand and blah 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 blah. But I think they need to beat the Bears. This is a real team that they could potentially see come playoff time. And I don't think I'm overselling this. Like the Commanders they have the inside track to win the NFC East and host a playoff game. If they're hosting a game, they're likely getting an opponent, either the Lions, if the Vikings continue what they're doing.
Lions are probably going to be 1 seed.
You think? Well,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. It won't be the Lions. It could be the Vikings
Sure.
I don't think it'll be Atlanta either. Atlanta's going to win the division, right? Yeah, Atlanta will win the division.
Well, yeah. Now with the Buccaneers,
It'll most likely be someone from the NFC North.
yeah, the
Like,
Packers.
I can
also
see
the
3
NFC
teams from
West.
the North.
You have to face somebody
Who's
in
it
the
going to
West.
be, right?
I
No,
mean, with
they'll
new
get
format.
a
Yeah.
4 seed. Then the winner of
Well,
the NFC West, right? Like there's
they have
nobody
to-
else.
boys, they
It's
have
not the
2
Cardinals.
losses. I mean, they're
It's
not.
it's not the
It's not.
Niners. I think realistically, you gotta, with the injury, right? Knowing that there's a chance he may not play 1, maybe 2 games. I think as fans, you got to go for 1-1. If you get 1-1 in the next 2, we should be happy.
Yes, and then 1-1 with the Cowboys, 1-1 with the Eagles, and pick up the last one against the Giants. You're flirting with.
No, I want to sweep the Cowboys.
If you sweep, you're in position to win the NFC. Right? Like it's a couple more weeks of this, and we're having a different conversation about home field advantage throughout. Like the conversation really
I
changes.
mean, if you buy a shutdown corner, conversation is winning Super Bowl.
Yes. I mean, and they have the draft capital to go do it. So, we'll see what happens this week. I
But
think,
we know Adam doesn't like giving up draft picks, right? Like there's a reason
has
why
to
they
be
went
worth
to the
it.
waiver wire and looked up Kyle Fuller, last week, right?
I think it depends
So
on who.
we'll
could
see.
be
I mean, I think we gotta trust. Yeah, we gotta trust in Adam. I don't think he's gonna give up 3 1s for a Miles Garrett.
If the Jets lose
But
one more game,
Adam Peters was there in San Francisco when they went out and they stole Trent Williams from us, right?
Yes.
So he's fine
Who were
taking.
the
Yeah, but
best
what did they give up?
corners?
What did we give up for Trent? Was it a 3rd or 4th?
A bag of chips because
That's what-
we were an inept.
That's where
franchise.
that's where Adam Peters is gonna shop. He's gonna shop for that 3rd, 4th, 5th round pick and get a starting caliber,
Yeah, but that's what I'm
D
saying.
end or quarterback.
We
right,
we
but
have a
Where we're
GM.
talking about
that can-
Miles Garrett's gonna demand 3. He's gonna get back 3 1s.
no,
Some
world
you
we
know,
live in
some
that
of these
gets
other
3-1s.
He's not 3-1s.
okay,
he's not
2
3
1s, or maybe a 1
We
and a
live in
2 and a
Jeff-
3.
LP and Jeff Driscoll's world here.
Yeah, I
overhyping
mean, I
players.
don't even know what the hell he's talking about right now. I mean, go get Sauce Gardner, right? If the Jets season is over anyway, go send them that conditional Miami pick and get what you can. Get an actual get a corner on this roster, and we're having a different conversation. You only need one.
Even if you pay a premium, if it's one of the top 5, 10, 5, 8 guys out there, pay it.
Yeah, you have to. You have
Hey,
to.
do you know how hard it is to hit on a shutdown corner?
But well, how many? Look, even Adam Peters, I'm sure, is looking at his big board and saying, "What are the chances that next season San Francisco is not competitive because of McCaffrey being out and Ayuk being out and Debo being unhealthy for chunks of the season?"
And they paid all those guys.
Right. What are the chances that the Rams continue to stink? Like that team is way too good to be 1-5 or whatever they are. The Cardinals are building something. The Giants actually don't look as terrible as their record.
One playmaker, 1 QB away.
They're 1 QB away. So like your window is open, right? But it's really, really open right now. The NFC, I mean, even the Chiefs, who everybody I think puts in their top power ranks and rankings at either 1 or 2. It's either Chiefs or Bills, basically on everyone's big board. At 1 or 2, Vikings around 3, and from what I'm seeing, the Commanders are consistently 5, 6, 7 in that range. Look at just those top 2 or 3 teams. The Vikings with Sam Darnold under center, they look like a complete team. That defense is phenomenal, but they're beatable, especially if they have to travel.
Yeah.
The Chiefs have put up stinkers this season. Now they got better with Amari Cooper, but that defense doesn't.
You mean the Bills?
The Bills, sorry, the Bills. The Bills got better, and they can hang points, but I mean,
they don't really have a run game.
No, they don't. Yeah. And their defense.
The other thing you have to factor in is
the Chiefs. Sorry, I just want to get this out. And the Chiefs, for all the slurping of Mahomes,
he's statistically the same as Daniel Jones this season.
Yeah,
because their defense is better. Their running game is better.
Whose running game is better?
Which is kind of scary that they're doing this without
Kareem
Mahomes.
Hunt. The Chiefs got better. The Chiefs' running game hasn't missed a beat. But no, the thing you have to keep in mind is, as the Commanders keep doing better, Peters being the GM is going to be like, oh shit, that top 5 pick I thought I was going to have going into next season, I'm not going to have that pick anymore, right?
Yes.
So that changes completely his very, very, very early mock draft board that he has for himself, which does lead to needing to be buyers right now, because if they're that's it, right? Like you're picking 25 to 32. Like that's not good. That's not good for a rebuild.
Spot. And frankly, 3 weeks ago, you're still thinking, I might need a receiver, I might need an offensive lineman, I might need a fullback, I might need a whatever. Don't touch the barring injury, the offense is good enough to beat anyone right now. Like the stats show they can go get points basically against anyone right now. So don't tinker with the offense, upgrade the defense, and then see what's what in a couple of weeks. But if they pull out 2 victories and we're sitting here talking about who's left? Who's left on the schedule that scares you at that point? That's it. Like these are arguably the toughest 2 teams that you're gonna meet the rest of the way. That's just my opinion. That like this is it.
Yeah, I mean the Eagles also have the ability to put it together at any point.
Split with the Eagles, you're still fine.
Sirianni's a diva.
I think you need the tiebreaker against the Bears. I think you need the tiebreaker against the Falcons, because you dropped the one against the Bucks, but that may not be in play anymore. So, like we're enough into the season where I think the good teams, the challenging teams, the contenders, like they're going to start to be identified here pretty soon. And it looks like the Commanders are going to be in that contenders window, because the strength of schedule down the stretch here is not, and especially if the Cowboys continue to tank the way they are. They can't run, they can't throw, they can't play defense. I mean, they would never give up Micah, but I would love to see him here, or Diggs for that matter. Go get.
Nope.
They wouldn't cost much, and they'd be an upgrade over what you have. Like that. That's the way I'm looking. And they're familiar with Witt and his system, so fine, just go do it. I got a couple more things for you, boys, and then we'll put a bow on this one. The let's see, World Series starts on Friday. East Coast, West Coast. This is what Matt and Stevie and Pete from Philly and everybody else wanted to see. FP, how much baseball have you watched?
I've watched enough to know that this is the series we all want.
Yes.
And I saw the Soto hit, and it was magical, and I miss him dearly.
It was upsetting, yeah.
Yeah, I miss him dearly. But I think I'm definitely excited for this World Series. I do enjoy October baseball, so I'll be watching the World Series closely.
I think it's going to be fascinating to see them oscillate between New York and LA, like from a temperature and like you're going to see what looks like midnight and 30 degrees on some games, and then it's going to be
85 and sunny.
85 and sunny for other games. So, like for all the things that nobody accounts for, that seems like it'll make for the most dramatic, backdrop. But I don't really have a read on this. I think the Dodgers. I think Stevie was telling me the Dodgers are expected to win. I think Matt said the same. Matt was really upset about the Mets. This is what just makes me like. It reminds me that Matt's lived here long enough amongst like Redskins fans and Nats fans and everybody else. He was upset that his team continued to move forward in the playoffs because he knew inevitably they were going to lose and he was going to be upset. So like I can, and what's scary is I 100% understand the logic. Like the season could have ended weeks ago and my life could have just been about something else, but instead they're dragging it out is basically where he was coming from. So anyway, we'll see what happens. I mean, that series is starting. We'll get the boys on here to talk about it soon. Last topic on the rundown, the NBA returns. Admittedly, boys, not a lot of storylines outside of that I'm reading consistently. The social media universe wants me to care about LeBron and his son playing together. It shows up every day, every time I swipe.
You need to adjust your algorithm. My universe does not care about it.
I cannot get rid of it. It's Bronny and his dad, and Bronny and his dad everywhere. Like they're just demanding that I care about this, and I really don't. I am curious to see how Clay looks in a Mavs uniform. I'm curious to see if what happens with the Suns. So like if the meltdown, breakdown, just colossal failure of their season from last year carries over or not. And then here with the Wizards, I mean, I don't really know what to expect, LP. Like what do we care for as a Wizards fan this season?
2027.
I think we care for a high draft pick for 2027. Yeah, I mean, I guess the development of Alexander Sarr, right? Like he's a French, Like, let's see what he
Koulibaly.
can be. Let's see what
We
Bilal
just went from
Koulibaly can
Eastern
be.
European to a little
Uh,
less East.
No, but there's enough young players on this team that you would hope
I
that they
mean,
get on the field and they look.
Corey
okay.
Kispert just got an extension today or yesterday.
I don't know why. I don't know why they
So,
did.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't understand. They
I
literally
he's
extended him
actually
for
been pretty
3 years.
good. He's good.
I don't know, good on a bad
Maybe.
team. I
Maybe.
don't know. Is Jordan Poole still on the team?
I don't understand he is. I don't understand why it takes 5 years to rebuild an NBA team. It's the only sport that takes a billion years to rebuild. I don't get that. I guess baseball too, but
Well, it's
maybe
not
it's
like
a
DC
Washington
could
thing. Maybe it
draft-
just takes
Yeah,
Washington
well,
teams 5 years to rebuild.
you can. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's hard to get people to want to come to DC to play, right? Like, when was the last time the Wizards like got a free agent to come here and sign a deal? Like, who wants to
like
be
in their
DC?
prime.
Or at all? Yeah, exactly. Like, who wants to be in DC?
Gilbert Arenas.
Well, yeah, but Gilbert they threw a ton of money at him as a
Gilbert
young
Arenas.
player, as a different situation. Yeah, fine, okay. That's one of the best pods
So
on the
sad.
internet too.
That's so
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah. All right, boys. Any last topics? Any things you want to
Yeah.
discuss here?
Tom Wilson's on pace for
You
108
failed to
goals.
mention
Oh, yeah,
the Lush
Obi watch.
playoffs.
Ovi watch FP. How many goals for Ovi last week?
Obi got one last game.
Okay.
He cracked open a little bit. The team is faster and definitely more fun than we were last season. Tom Wilson has 4 goals in 4 games. He's doing fantastic. This team's fun. This team's fun to watch.
Is Ovi gonna get it? How many to go now? What's the count?
40 away, 39 away.
Okay.
When you put your money against Ovi, Ovi usually meets the challenge. So I think he gets it.
I mean, I hope so. I mean, it will solidify him as.
I mean, that's a huge DC sports storyline. If you have
Absolutely.
one of the goats of one of the big 4 teams.
Absolutely. All right, LP. Any final thing from you? Any final comments?
A big flip of the middle finger to FP.
Nobody cares about fantasy, LP, but I beat him by
Oh my God.
0.16.
How'd you know?
0.1. Well,
How do you
congrats to
lose
this
by
guy.
0.16? So
Marvin
annoying.
Harrison Jr. is a bust. That's how you do it, and that's who you drafted.
Okay. Thank you so much, boys. All right. For FP and LP, my name is Joe. The show is DTC. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. Keep an eye out for the spotlight on the NFC North plus Aaron Rodgers discussion with Andrew coming up at some point this week. Once it's recorded, we will get it posted everywhere and blasted on social media. Thank you for hanging out with us. Until next week, we are out.